One evening, an old man told his grandson about the battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside us all. One is evil. It is anger and envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, etc., etc. The other is good. It is joy and peace and love and serenity and benevolence and empathy, etc., etc." The grandson thought about this for a moment, and he asked his grandfather, "Well, which wolf wins?" And his grandfather replied, "The one you feed." Now, we've seen this story, it's an archetypal story, play out in many different clothes, if we're willing to look. It's the basis of the Star Wars saga. It's the question in countless stories: will they choose to help or harm? That's pretty much what every story is about. Joy or anger, love or fear. And it's the choices we make in our everyday lives, because this struggle is ongoing, and there are moments when maybe you don't want to choose kindness or graciousness or compassion. I'll say I've had moments. I won't assume that anybody else, but maybe. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It means you're normal. And I've known a few people who have thought, "Oh my gosh, I had that awful thought," and there's no chance for them to have redemption, and because they've done something they thought was bad, and they hold this deep, dark secret. But I'm going to tell you something. It's a secret. Not a very good secret. Pretty much everyone has had a moment when they thought, "Gosh, my life would be easier if I was an only child," or "my neighbor would go away," or "I was with so-and-so instead of this," And I think that this is the outset. This is a very simple reaction that our imagination has to some level of dissatisfaction that we may be having with our current situation. Our imagination says, "Well, we could come up with a better way for this to happen." That's what our imagination does, right? When we're not liking something. And our imagination also likes to make it someone else's fault. If we were an only child, then we wouldn't be having this problem with our sibling, right? Fill in whoever is bugging you into that. And then you might go down the road thinking, "Oh, I'm a bad person because I had this fleeting thought about something bad happening to someone." Don't feed that. We don't need to go down that roller coaster. But it is a clue. It's a clue that there's something we might need to change if we're having those thoughts. And if you're wishing you had Jesse's Girl, remember that song from the 80s, Jesse's Girl? Wish I had Jesse's Girl. Yeah, that song is so not a positive song, but it really reminds us, if we're unhappy with something, in that case, the relationship, well, maybe you need to make changes in your situation. It has nothing to do with Jesse or Jesse's Girl. It has to do with your own dissatisfaction, because if you were happy with your situation, you wouldn't even notice Jesse's Girl. Right? So we're wrapping up this year's season of peace and nonviolence. Now, all the time should be the season of peace and nonviolence. We just happen to focus on a little bit more for these 3 months. But you should definitely, if you don't already have one of those nifty little flyer things that are by the bulletins, if you don't have one at home, take one home. It's got 64 ways that you can bring more peace and nonviolence into your life. And you can, of course, choose to look at those and practice those anytime. So today as we're wrapping that up, we're talking about choices and commitment. We've talked about lots of different angles, just barely touching some of the different angles that we can take to bring more peace and nonviolence into our life that were on that sheet. And last week, I talked about action. And so this is the final piece of the puzzle. Because we have all these strategies and tools, right? We know action is the way to make it happen. But action's only as good as the commitment that goes along with it. Because action once is not nearly as good as action consistently, right? So there's this quote from Kofi Annan. He was the chair of the UN there for a while. And he said, "To live is to choose, but to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for, where you want to go, and why you want to get there." You must know who you are, what you stand for, where you want to go, and why you want to get there. What a great little formula, isn't it? So where do you want to go? Do you maybe wish you were able to respond more gracefully under pressure? Do you desire to feel calm when faced with adverse situations, including those bumper stickers that really, or whatever it is? Do you see something that you want to have different in the world? So for today, we're just pick one thing. It can even be an easy thing. Just pick one thing, whatever's on your mind. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Something that would increase the peace, harmony, connectedness, joy in your life. Where do you want to go? And then, as Mr. Anand says, why do you want to get there? Can you see how where you want to go would change and or you and or the world? Where you want to go would make a difference in your life, make a difference in the world. You got to start here, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I find myself more motivated to follow through with things when I understand the why. When you have, that entry-level junk job that you have when you're young, and they say, well, this is what needs to happen, and you say, well, why? And then when they explain why, all of a sudden this thing that things seemed kind of dumb that you had to do, all of a sudden it makes sense. Oh, well, it keeps everybody safe because da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, oh, okay, no big deal. I understand now. I'll make it happen. It's just easier. Maybe just because I'm stubborn like that. But whatever. I like to know why. So I asked the physical therapist at my chiropractor what I could be doing to get ready for hiking season. Because he's like, well, hike. I'm like, well, there's kind of snow in the way right now. I might fall in. So he said, he's like, okay, do some, get your squats and your lunges and core. And those are things you can do to get conditioned, ready for hiking season. All right. Now, because he told me that those are the things I need to do to help me reach my goal, I'm more likely to make them happen. It's funny how that works. And then a friend of mine posted a challenge on Facebook, the April Squat Challenge. You start with 50 squats on April 1st, and you increase them, and by the time you get to the end of April, we're at 250 a day. But you just increase a little bit at a time, right? I know y'all think I'm crazy, but that's okay. But the great thing is that we're doing it together. She made a little group. And so we're accountable and we cheer each other on, and there's a way to keep on it. It's so much better that way, right? And I'm in because it's going to help me reach my goal, climbing the mountains, and not feeling it for 3 or 4 days afterwards, like the time Sheila and I climbed that mountain. It was like a week after. Whew, goodness. So making a commitment helps make it happen. So, have you thought of something that you might want to do and why? Here's the commitment part. This is the no excuses part. Because unity is not about, oh, we're just going to go to church and get a good idea, and that's nice. This is positive, practical spirituality, positive, practical Christianity, which means you got to work it. So this is just the lighting the fire. You have to go make it happen. So the best thing to do when you want to activate a plan is to make a commitment to do something in the next 24 hours. Not, oh, well, I'll meditate more, but a specific thing that you're going to do in the next 24 hours to kickstart whatever it is that you want to have, that you want to do. And then have something else that you're going to do in the next week to keep that rolling. But to have something that you're going to do the next 24 hours, even better sometime today, because now we've started making it happen. So is there so to make that commitment to something in the next 24 hours to move you where, to get you started, going where you want to go. So, if you're feeling extra brave, we're going to just take a minute or two for you, now that you've thought about this for a half a second, to share with someone near you, if you want to, something that you've thought of that you are willing to do in the next 24 hours to move you towards whatever your goal is, whether it is to respond more peacefully or whatever it is, whatever you've said is your thing that you might want to move towards. Just take a minute to share with someone. And if you're listening, you don't need to add a bunch of commentary or follow up with them later unless they ask you to. You just say, thank you for sharing. So we can keep it quick. Okay? So if you want to share with somebody, this is the moment. Hey, go.
It's embarrassing, but it's true. Almost there. You can share more over to treats. Okay, we made a commitment. Ready to rock and roll, right? Not to Jesse's girl. So as you go forth, ready to do something, remember a building is made brick by brick, board by board, nail by nail. And it takes commitment to see it through. The shift you're aiming for will require the long view and persistence to make it happen. It's not where we start that matters. It's that we keep showing up and keep going. And so, to conclude, I share a quote from the great 21st century writer, J.K. Rowling. She said, it is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities.